And Malvika is joining us from the US. Malvika, alongside the Quad Summit, a number of other key engagements taking place. And this is one for the benefit of all the people across the world, really, but most certainly in the Indo-Pacific region. Could you tell us a little bit more about what this event was and what is the pledge by India?
Sure. So on the sidelines of the Quad Summit today, there was several bilateral meetings which took place between the four leaders. So the Indian Prime Minister had a bilateral with President Biden in the morning, and then he met with his counterparts from Japan and Australia. Though we do not know the specifics of the meeting between Australia of Prime Minister Modi with the Australian and Japanese Prime Minister, but we do know that there is a statement that has been issued for the joint for the bilateral between India and the US, which has emphasized on cooperation in various aspects, and they've also during the bilateral discussed several key issues related to security in the Indo-Pacific region. They also touched upon Prime Minister Modi's visits to several other nations and the key role that India can play at a global scale in ensuring security and peace. Climate change was a key focus of discussion, ensuring that more efficient resources are adopted. That was another focus area of the bilateral between India and the US.
Well, Malvika, let's also listen to what the US President Joe Biden said at this very same event.
In fact, we have prevention and screening tools and treatments to make the first cancer ever to be eliminated. It is still one of the most deadly cancers across the world. Every year, 150,000 women die from cervical cancer in the Indo-Pacific. Every year. That's more than double the population of this city. We can't and will not let that continue. The four of us are proud democracies. We're coming together to deliver a better hope, more hope for our people. In practice, the Quad Cancer Moonshot means more collaboration between our hospitals, research centers, and cancer foundations. More investment in screenings, treatment, and research, and more exchanges between our countries to improve vaccination rates all across the region. Right now, only 1 in 10 women across the Indo-Pacific, which is the most populated part of the world, have received HPV vaccinations for cervical cancer. So I'm proud to announce that our four countries, the leaders behind me, and many organizations here today are committing over $150 million for HPV screening and therapeutics. And next year, doctors and nurses from the U.S. Navy will begin a program to train Indo-Pacific counterparts in conducting cervical cancer screening and vaccination so we can reach every woman in the region. And it matters. Folks, let me close with this. During my first year as president, I received a letter from a mother from Tennessee. She'd been recently diagnosed with cervical cancer. She said she experienced every emotion, from denial to anger to fear to grief. Children, I remember those feelings as well. But when she asked herself, what am I going to do? Am I going to give up? Am I going to fight? She answered, I choose to fight. We've got to choose to fight. Choose to fight as a society. Ladies and gentlemen, today America, Australia, India, and Japan choose to fight. For every patient asking for one more day, one more week, one more year. Every survivor and caregiver who carries the scars of recovery, and every person who've lost, and every person we can save.
So that was US President Joe Biden, and Malvika remains with us. Malvika, so that was a very noble cause that all the four countries have agreed and announced measures towards. What else are India and the Quad nations doing? I believe there is also an economic set of agreements that India has ratified, and also between India and the US, there's something also going on the clean energy front. If you could take us through those as well.
Sure. So this was one of the most significant and consequential Quad summits that have ever taken place. This was the fourth in-person Quad summit, sixth at the leaders level. Two, remember, had taken place during the pandemic and they were virtual. The fact remains that all of the initiatives, whether it was in the areas of maritime communication, healthcare security, sharing data, organizing trainings, they have all been promoted, and a step forward has been taken. A new initiative have been announced, especially in the area of maritime security, where now on the Indian Ocean there is going to be greater cooperation and surveillance. There is going to be exchange of more advanced technology, of capacity building. There is going to be a joint Coast Guard exercise, the first time between the four nations. As
Right.
far as climate change is concerned, there is a key opportunity here for all four nations. India is aspiring to become a manufacturing hub with the Make in India campaign. You have Australia and Japan wanting to transfer technology as far as cooling infrastructure is concerned, and the US is willing to fund this. And this is going to be a key initiative that will emerge out of this year's Quad Summit. Remember, India is poised to host next year's Quad Summit, so a key deliverable on the table for which the stage has already been set by the four countries.
Well, most definitely, there are a number of items on which all of these countries are partnering. Remember, like Malvika has been telling us, viewers, a very consequential summit. And we